So in the last couple of weeks, we have delved deeply into the subdoshas of Vata and then the subdoshas of Pitta, and I briefly introduced you to subdoshas of Kapha. Now you already know what Kapha dosha is and the qualities are, so that part of the slideshow I'll just, because it's a repetition, I'll just go quickly over. But if you actually have questions about stuff which we've already done, please put it on the chat. And then, of course, the focus of my presentation today is going to be the subdoshas of Kapha. And then we kind of try to do, one of the quizzes in class and, see that whether you're understanding this or not. That'll kind of make it clear to me if this is working. Okay. We know Kapha is earth and water. Kapha kena jalena falati iti kafaha. The one, it literally means one that is formed with water. So if you were to look at a combination of kapha, it is more water and less earth. Does that make sense? It's a lot of water, right? And so it's water and earth. Earth and water, there's a lot of water in it. And it also has shleshma. Shlesh alingane iti shleshma. Think of mucus, slimy mucus. There's a whole bunch of teenage girls who make this icky, slushy, mucusy thing, and then they post their videos on Instagram. I don't know what it is, but I heard it from one of my clients whose daughter does it. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. They make this mucusy, slushy thingy that's very icky. And so that's exactly what kapha is, has shlish. That means this is the water that we're talking about in kapha is not flowing water. It is almost like a mucusy water that is sticky, because this is the water that flows within our body. I mean, think of most of our internal organs are protected by a layer of, mucigenous substance that protects it, like in the pericardium area and so on. All of that is kapha. It gives the body structure. It connects the body. For example, the connection of the bones and the muscles, the fascia, and then the functional integrity of the body. And of course, we know it's water and earth element. So why is kapha so important, and why is it that we first learned about vayu or vata, then we learned about kapha, pitta, and now kapha? Because kapha is formed at the end. First, vata is formed, and vata moves really, really quickly because it's air and space, literally. So it's in its nature to move, and you can't even really see vayu. You cannot see vata because it's just a moving air and space. At least, pitta has some kind of form, with all the acidic secretions. Kapha is the only dosha which is, you can see kapha at all times. Because kapha is so important. Prakritastu balam shleshma vikrito mala uchyate. When kapha is in prakrit, mean in your natural prakriti, it gives strength. I mean, if a person has good amount of fat levels and good amount of muscles, and they're healthy. So sometimes people will use in India, this person is very strong, they will use the word kapha instead. So the idea is, if a person's, I mean, just to give you an example, sometimes a kapha person who's healthy, when they get flu-like symptoms, they're still functional. So they're still getting up from their bed and maybe making themselves some tea. They might still go to work. They're just down and have low energy, but it doesn't knock them out because their internal immunity is very strong. So capacity to do work, one's energy level, is kind of defined by kapha. And also your immunity. And we will talk about what does kapha got to do with immunity. One thing you will notice is, in order to improve immunity in a pitta or a vata person, all foods that are given are in kapha increasing. Dates and figs and beets and not beets, ghee and milk and good fats. So why? Because without kapha, you cannot have immunity. Because ojas is the essence of kapha makes immunity. And we will talk about that in later classes. There's two types of ojas. Is a material which is kind of metaphysical. It really doesn't have a physical form. And then you have the physical form ojas, which is the basically an essence of kapha in the body, which we'll talk about later. But the idea is if a person has low kapha, chances are the immunity may not be that high. And when I say low kapha, I don't mean just because you're a vata person, you have low kapha, not that kind of low kapha, meaning low kapha that your muscles are atrophying and you're losing body weight, that kind. That's what I mean. So lubrication of the body, binding agent, structural integrity of the body, um, gives stability, promotes bulk, even bulk in stool. So a kapha stool is going to be more bulky, and a kapha person's a lot more sexual potency and reproductive capacity. More, having a baby is so hard. So a kapha woman can have more kids. Promotes forbearance, capacity, and courage. And because of that layer of fat, the way they perceive pain is a little bit different than the way a pitta perceives pain or a vata perceives pain. Any questions? Nope. Okay. We already did this. Very quickly, if you look at the can you think of how the heaviness of kapha is manifested in a kapha person's quality? How is this going to manifest in a person? What is heavy? Can you think of something? Yes, that means if a kapha person will eat heavy food, it'll make them unwell. But why? Why will heavy food make a kapha person unwell? Because they're already heavy. And this gurutva, heaviness in a kapha person, will manifest as heavy body, overweight. And it'll also manifest as them, being very stubborn and, they are very set in their ways. So the word guru means heavy, that one who's very set, that's what it actually means. They're very set in their ways, in their faith, and very stubborn, and it's hard to make a kapha move. Like it's like moving a mountain, or it's like moving an elephant. I don't know if you've seen an elephant being moved. It's hard to move an elephant. So they are special people who get trained on how to move an elephant. Getting a kapha person to change their habits is going to be hard. And this is how that'll affect you. So heavy mind will also manifest in very strong faith in God or whatever they believe in. And they are not going to change their ways. They may tell you that, oh, okay, I will do what you say, but they're not going to do what you tell them. So the way you deal with a kapha compared to the way you deal with a vata and pitta person in your consultations is going to be a little different. If you work in a corporate sector, the way you deal with a kapha person in a corporate setting would also be different. Manda, slow, will manifest in slow agni. They walk slowly. They sometimes talk slowly. So a kapha person may talk like that. And if you compare it to how a vata person can talk like really, really fast, it's fast. Cool exhibits in cool hands, and they feel cold. Slimy manifest in all the congestion that they get. These both kind of soft eyes, softness in body, romantic nature, stability. They're stable in mind and body. And cloudy is when a kapha person is unbalanced. They cannot think straight. Their clarity is not there. So let's look at this from this perspective. Kaphas is situated in a lot of places. So look at this and ask me any questions. So you have, right now, there's a picture, it's just pointing to frontal sinuses here, but There's a couple of sinuses you have just on, behind the nose, which is the sinus that is the gateway to your brain. You have a couple of sinuses on either side of your cheeks also. Nose and sinus have mucus inside them. Nose has a mucosal layer inside them. Mouth has bodha, kapha, spit, and inside it. Lungs have a mucosal layer inside it. From mastic tissue to the mucosal lining of the stomach to pancreas, lymph nodes, synovial fluid, these are all kapha. So from the Ayurvedic books, the textbooks, this is straight from the Sanskrit. You don't have to know the Sanskrit, but I'm going to read it anyway. So in case ever you have to pronounce it, because your Sanskrit is going to be basically, the Sanskrit test is pronunciation and glossary basically. We are not really teaching you how to speak Sanskrit, though we give you a couple of videos. That's why, it'll help you when you do that later. Uras, thoracic region, Uras. Head, Shiras. So you may have heard of Shirodhara. Shira, head. Neck, Kantha, not Kanta. Kantha. It's a very hard T. Joints, Sandhi. Joints, Sandhi. Upper part of stomach, Amashaya. Amashaya. Literally Amashaya means where ama is produced, where toxins are produced. Meda dhatu, not meda dhatu, meda dhatu. Tongue, jihva, jihva. Nose, grana. So you don't have to know the Sanskrit, just know the pronunciation. And also it's kind of like when you learn pathology, you have to know the medical language, which is rooted in Latin and Greek. So if you know a lot of root Latin words and a root Greek words, you understand the medical terminology. From Ayurveda, the entire terminology is Sanskrit. So it's just something over, as you're doing Ayurveda for an entire year, things will start sticking in. So these is, basically kapha is everywhere, but specifically all the interstitial waters in the body, all the internal organs, anywhere where this, the mucus is there. And among all these sites, the Uras is considered the domicile. It is considered the domain. It is considered the sthanam. In old passports, it used to say the country of domicile. Where do you, where are you from? And I've said this before, you live in your house or apartment, and your house or apartment will have a bathroom or two. It'll have a kitchen. There might be a balcony or a garden. There may be a couple of bedrooms, living room. But where do you live? The main place where you rest at night is your bedroom, right? So even though kapha is present everywhere, the main site where it resides, think of it as is uras or chest. So or anything related to chest is kapha. So first of all, I want you to ignore the Sanskrit, and then we will do the Sanskrit. If you look at the structure of the brain, there is something called the white matter that's different from the gray matter. And of course, if you look at what the brain is made of, there is something that is covering those neurons, and that is myelin sheaths. And they don't cover every neuron, but there's this covering of myelin sheath. In fact, in certain diseases, when myelin sheaths are damaged, a person can have MS and whatnot. Anyway, so that thing that covers the head and even a little bit of the nose, and that it's tarapaka. Bodhaka, we have talked about that in last class. The saliva in our mouth, the rasa, the water element in our mouth that allows us to taste things and swallow and talk is bodhakapha. There is a layer between heart and lungs, and I'm giving you a very dumbed down version, and the pericardium. And if there wasn't that protective layer there would be too much friction created that would harm those very important organs. So it's a protective lining. So read about it and research if you want. Again, we've talked about kledaka in digestion. I don't know what happened to the stomach. Oh, there it is. It should have been right here. That's a wrong one. Like, why is it pointing to the pancreas? Oh, there is no stomach. We are missing a stomach in this. Like, what happened? All right, let me make a little stomach. Yeah, that's funny, right? I know. I'm like, what happened? There's a heart, there's lungs. Yeah, yeah. So the idea, like we did this last time, Kledaka, if there was no mucus lining protecting the stomach, the hydrochloric acid, the pachak pitta, would basically eat the lining of the stomach and cause ulcers. So that is the Kledaka protecting us. Then I don't know why it is pointing there, but the idea is okay, any joint, whether it's the joint is here or the joint is here, hip joints, or it is knee joint, anyway, or elbow, which there are no elbows here, but let's pretend there are. Anywhere there's a joint, and joints are filled, the two joints, if they rub together, they will cause a problem in arthritis. So it's filled with synovial fluid. It's like a lubricant that allows the bones to move and not harm each other, right? So that is Shlesha Kapha. Now let's look at the names, which, it takes a little while to get used to. Tarapaka, Bodhaka, Avalambaka, Kledaka, Shleshaka. Once more. Tarapaka, Bodhaka, Avalambaka, Kledaka, Shleshaka. Okay? So very quickly, we are just going to recap everything we just learned. Can everybody see this? So we did this already. You have the Bodha Kapha, which is in Jihva and Kantha, in tongue and throat, mouth region. And we know that it basically has saliva that, initiates the carbohydrate digestion in the mouth. Anything that's sweet that you eat is getting digested first. It initiates the process of digestion. Avalamba kapha is in the chest. It protects heart and lungs. Kleda kapha is in the upper part of the stomach. It moistens the food, so the food is now ready to mix with hydrochloric acid, and so that hydrochloric acid and different enzymes can break it down. And then it needs to be liquefied. I mean, literally your stomach is basically a bag that expands, fills, and it's a blender basically. It blends everything out, and then the blended stuff is sent to the intestine. That's what the stomach's doing, protecting the gastrointestinal mucosa and also controlling how much moisture is there as well. We talked about this. Shlesha Kapha, joints, integrity of joints, lubricates them. And Tarapak is head region. And let me also write head and nose. So if you have a client whose eyes are dry and kind of nose is dry and mouth is dry, then Tarapak Kapha is low. Because not only is it the myelin sheath and protecting the brain and also in the nervous system, but it is also your senses. So, when we say Ayurveda wants you to nourish the senses, we have ears and eyes and nose, and all of those need to be nourished. That's part of Tarpa Kapha. This was done earlier in AC 101, so I'm just going to go through it. Anything that you do that is the same, let's go back to the eating heavy foods, doing activities that are slow, eating very cooling foods, adding kapha, increasing foods is going to increase kapha. And you kind of know that. So it's because the idea is anything that And these are just literally taken out of, a book. You might say, what do you mean? What do you mean eating meat? Because meat is sweet taste. Meat is sweet taste. All meat except fish is sweet taste. Fish is salty taste. And sweet and salty taste are bad for kapha person. Poor kaphas. Eating cold foods, literally foods that will make them cold, and foods that are cold in temperature. Eating sweets, eating sour foods, eating sticky foods like cheese, or those sticky rice, anything sticky. Uh, well, think of it as eating sesame or eating anything that increases. It's the same thing. Increasing sugarcane is sweet. Sesame will increase kapha because it's basically oil. Dairy, oily, overeating. If someone has mandagani, no matter whether that person is kapha or pitta or vata, they should not overeat. And we kaphas, sometimes we are eating because of whatever. It's almost like I did a fast 1 year when I was much younger, and I did it for about a month. And I realized I would just put things in my mouth without thinking whether just not being aware of things. So that really, really helped, being very conscious of what you're eating. And being a kapha, we just put things in our mouth like nobody's business, because we kind of situated in our, in the first layer, in the gross body. We are very much connected to earth. So it's a big problem. Eating salty foods that includes too much salty nuts, again, fish, salty fish. I would, and then drinking too much water, especially cold water, and just doing nothing in its spring season, your kapha will increase. So we already know of this. Some symptoms of vitiated kapha are shvetatva, pale skin. So obviously now you'll say, well, it's hard to see pale skin and dark skin individuals, but it's a different, you can still know. If you know a person who is dark skinned, when their kapha is high, their nails will also become pale. Their eyes are very white. The tongue has a white tinge. Even everything is pale. And then you will notice that the tinge of the skin actually is paler. It's not white, but it's compared to the complexion, it's a little less. Their extremities would be cold. They will feel heavy and talk. And if you take their pulse, it feels like literally like, elephant stomping. They're easily irritated by sounds, oily skin, maybe some acne, feeling sluggish, feeling cloudy. Stretching of skin, because when you gain weight, the skin stretches. And delayed urges. Are they hungry? In India, we call them tube light, because we have this fluorescent light that takes a few seconds to come on. So, being a kapha person in India, everybody would call me tube light, because I would always get the jokes 5 seconds after everybody. Oh, that's what you meant. Like, oh my God, why are you slow? But yeah, that's kind of what it means. So how do you pacify? You use the opposite qualities of kapha. Of course, drying effect, alkaline foods, astringent, bitter, spicy. This was already done in AC 101. I'm going through it very fast. Expectoration is honey, enjoying sex, blabbering. Literally means talk more, because talking requires energy. An actual textbook kapha would would prefer to read a book, cook, and eat. Talking, going for a walk, getting the rajas going, staying up late, total opposite of vata. Water games, long walking, we don't do that anymore. Therapeutic smoking, enema with dashamula kvat, or some kind of kvat, which is a decoction. Shiro virechana. Basically, this literally arine therapy is just a fancy word of saying doing nasya. So doing neti with water, followed by nasya oil. So when you put nasya oil in the nasal passages, it clears the head. It clears the cloudy thinking. MSS, sorry about the spelling mistake. Svedopanaharikam, sudation therapy, meaning sweat, meaning either a dry sauna or better, the best sauna would be a steam sauna. Kapha reducing drinks, takra, which is buttermilk, a small amount of buttermilk, and things that are spicy. Kapha reducing diet and herbs. That's pretty much it. I'm going to leave it here once more and open it for questions. Look at it and see if you have any questions. And then we're going to do a little, test from AC 103. No questions at all? No questions? Okay, let's quickly. So this is, I just decided to do this test in class just to have an idea. And then, of course, I'm going to be noting down the marks. That's here we go. All right, I've got your names down. All right. So did anybody I know we did the Swastha Vritta quiz in AC 101 already, so everybody's already finished this. This has already been done, right? So we're going to be doing quiz 1 right now and quiz 2 right now. And then hopefully we should be able to do these quizzes in the next few classes. I'm doing it in class instead of, so if you're submitting it today, you don't need to submit it. Has anyone submitted the quiz 1 and 2 already? Anybody? So yes, so get your quiz out. Get your quiz out and, we'll mark it right now and tell me what your score is. I mean, I already have that, but so you can get it out. And okay. Did you get the quiz out yet? So you won't be able to chat with anybody else now. Only I would be able to see your chats. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through the questions, talk about them, give you a minute to write the answer. And then when you're done with the 10 questions, then I will look at the answers. Okay, ready? I have a pen and pencil ready, and those who have already done it, get your quiz out. Nicole and Evelyn, if you already have your quiz, just let me know so I can get started. All right, please have a pen and paper ready. The first question is, and you will only be able to send it to me and no one else. So you'll choose host, which is me, and write your answer there. Write the Mahabhutas that would be predominant in a Vata Kapha Prakriti person. I'm just going to translate it for you. It literally means that what elements are present in a person whose constitution is a combination of Vata and Kapha. So what are the, main elements out of the 5 elements that you should be able to see in this person who is Vata Kapha? And we're assuming it's a Vata Kapha who's 50% Vata, 50% Kapha, because it's Vata Kapha. You have not been given the choice whether the Kapha is a little less or more. It's exactly the same, right? Second question. Tom took his Prakriti test as a child and his numbers were Pitta 12, Vata 4, Kapha 12. What does this mean? And, in terms of what is his natural constitution? So just write the answer, whatever it is. Is it Vata, Pitta, Pitta, Vata, Vata, Kapha, whatever it is, right? Done. One more question. In order to determine Prakriti, the person who fills this questionnaire, as if answering from, that means if you're doing a Prakriti test, do you fill the questionnaire from 12 years ago, or when they were 12 to 14 years of age, or 6 years ago, or 6 months to now? So the answer is one of these. Okay, now I'm going to stop share for a second and look at the answers and mark you. Pausing. So Wendy is heavy, so she has qualities of Guru. Trouble losing weight, has a lot of kapha. Food just sits there, feels heavy, again heavy, heavy. Manda Agni, meaning there's slow metabolism. What is her Prakriti? Very, very easy question. Very easy question. And obviously in real life, you won't find textbook cases like this. Yes, 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 everybody right. This one, just answer A first. Just answer A first. Now answer B. I'm looking at your answers. Now answer B. Now C. Now D. Okay, so the answer should have been earth is heavy, pitta is sharp, water is sweet, and water is also heavy. And water is also, if you wrote water is heavy or water is sweet, you're both correct. So let's see what everybody has done. Zoom recording. Caitlin has always had issues like joint pain, dry hair, dry skin. She's tall and thin, trouble gaining weight. So what's her, she's a textbook Prakriti of what? Yes, yes, yes. Everybody got that. That was easy. Everyone's getting that one. Good job. Okay, next question. If we compare Vata to nature, it can be compared to wind, ocean, or plain land. That's super easy. Yes, yes. Sheila is a Pitta person, and let's, so when you have a case study kind of question and it looks really complicated, the trick to doing that question is look at Pitta, oily skin, sensitive eyes, keen intellect. So she's a textbook person. Oily skin, too much oily skin is because of the water content of the pitta and fire. Sensitive eyes is the quality of heat. Keen intellect is a quality of sharpness. 3 to 4 soft bowel movement is the quality of Tikshnagni. Voracious appetite is the quality of sharp, right? So let's write that down. What are the qualities you're seeing? You're seeing the quality of heat and light and fire and sharp. You're seeing all of these qualities in there. And then you're also seeing on the top of that dry skin. And remember when I told you, even a pitta person can have dry skin, but the cause of dryness is pitta, not vata. But what the difference between the skin is, in a vata person, when they have dry skin, it is like 100% dry and it's scaly and, you know, and so on. And it's not red. A pitta person can have a dry skin, which is also sensitive and a little red, and portions of it will be inflamed and portions of it will be dry, and it usually will not be like they're you know, they might have like seborrheic dermatitis and oily hair at the same time. So the parts of the place where there's seborrheic dermatitis, you know, the dandruff, that'll have the dry skin part, and the rest of the, you know, it's oily hair. Does that make sense? So there's inflammation, and the color is more, this color of the skin is different. And the most important, the temperature of the skin feels a little warm. So if you touch the dry skin around the hands of a vata person, it's dry and it feels thin and it feels cold. If you take the dry skin on a hand of a pitta person, the hand feels warm or hot, and the color is a little red. Does it make sense? Now her BM, bowel movement, that's what it means, are down to one bowel movement, are a little harder. She also feels dehydrated no matter how much water she drinks. It's almost like, you know, when you have a, like, you know, Yellowstone has all these geysers that are erupting. No matter how much water you throw in there, it becomes a geyser, you know, and water is converted into, it evaporates. Knowing all of this, what dosha in her Vikriti is affected? I'm going to stop recording, pause Zoom recording. Now, question number 6. The same lady, Sheila, who is a pitta person, but her vata is high right now, or, you know, as we discussed the Vikriti. I think this is kind of everybody already knows, because you already kind of answered that question, what is depleted in her. Let's do question, I'm going to give everybody half because you've all answered. How many days should we give a Vikriti pacifying protocol to Sheila? Remember, she's a pitta person who's, you know, either vata or pitta or kapha may be high, right? But her prakriti is pitta. So when we are trying to change her, give her something that is different, what do you think we should give it for 2 months or 1 month or 3 days or 1 week? You know, there are 15, basically in the last 3 weeks we have done 5 types of vata, 5 types of pitta, and 5 types of kapha. And this is all of them. Prana, and, you know, they kind of jumbled up, pitta, vata, and so on. And this is where they reside and what they do basically. So you have your notes from the last 3 weeks. You have the 3 classes, including today's class. And, you know, these are all open quizzes. Look at your notes, look at the research internet, listen to my classes. And I don't even think you need to do that. I mean, you should be able to answer all of them right now, but, you know, that's going to take too long, so I'm not doing it. Right? So where it resides, and the thing is, one of the things that this quiz, when I made it, I deliberately used a lot of Sanskrit because it'll help you kind of assimilate the Sanskrit part. Because, you know, when we go to halfway through the program, I do not say, or anybody, we don't say, oh, tarpa kapha, sadhak pitta, prana vata. We say prana saman and avlambak. And, you know, if you're attending one of my practitioner classes, you'll be like, what are they talking? It's a different language. So what it does is, doing this little quiz would, you know, match the following would help you do that. And it's fresh in your mind. So do that. Yeah. This element is manifested in the spaces of the body, like stomach, colon, interstitial spaces. And it's such an easy question because the answer is in the question itself twice, which I'm not going to say. The dash Mahabhuta is responsible for movement within the body. The answer is within the question. The Agni or fire Mahabhuta is responsible for what of nutrients? The idea is, what does it do to the nutrients? We talked about it in the class, the Pitta class. What is it that the Agni or fire is doing to the nutrients? Is it killing the nutrients? Is it absorbing the nutrients? Is it assimilating the nutrients? What is it doing? That's the answer here. The dash Mahabhuta is manifested as blood or lymph in the body. So there are only 5 elements, right? There is space and air, water, earth, and fire. So it's only one of those, right? Earth is, whatever, any example of earth that we are talked about today in the Kapha class. This Mahabhuta gives a keen intellect. This Mahabhuta gives a soft, romantic nature. We talked about it today in the Kapha class. And let's look at this one. So, you don't have to submit this one right now. Just submit it to me later. But I thought if I do the quiz, it'll be easier for you to finish it. Ram is a Kapha, V1, P2, K3, meaning his Kapha is dominant and Pitta is secondary and Vata is the least. He is lethargic, sentimental, a tad sounds totally like me, watching movies on the couch, eating dairy and milk products. While it is chilly and cold outside, so this is a very typical thing, when it is, this is not chilly, why, but, is the correct spelling? Anyway, when it's really cold outside or it's raining outside, even a regular person who eats dairy and milk or ice cream when it's cold outside, it'll increase your kapha and give you a cold, right? And if you're already a kapha and you're doing this is going to exponentially increase the symptoms of kapha in the body. And again, the answer is in here. I've just given you the answer right there. So it's in here. The stuff that is increasing kapha has to be reduced, and that's what the answer is. And then there's a certain spices here. Ram should choose from the following spices that support kapha, meaning that what is it that you need to do? These spices that you should choose for kapha in this answer should be very, pungent. Again, that gives you the answer already. 5th, Helen has constipation, suffers from variable appetite. She's feeling anxious and unable to concentrate. So when you have a question like this, again, you will get questions like this when you take the counselor exam. When you have questions like that, do not, oh my God, they have constipation and appetite and anxious. Don't, just look at the first part. Constipation and variable appetite is which dosha? You already know that. Search for the dosha here. Okay, that dosha is mentioned 2 or 3 times. Now, look at these symptoms, the mind symptoms, anxious and unable to concentrate. Which dosha is this and which Agni is this? Very easy, like that. So if you kind of divide the questions, it's easier. Paul is a weightlifter. He's stocky, jolly, and always willing to help others. If you go back to the classes that I've done in the last 3 weeks and look at all the gunas, this is a classic guy. Loves to eat, cook, medium height, tendency to gain weight, good immunity, thick hair, big and beautiful eyes, dreams of running, variable appetite. What dosha may be imbalanced right now? Not what his prakriti is. So the question is, what dosha may be imbalanced right now? That is the answer. Okay? Number 7. Joe is a Pitta Kapha person, tall and lanky, little mid-belly, and is a cyclist. He went for a bike race and it was cold and windy. Very common. You go outside and whatever's happening outside will happen inside your body. His skin developed rough, dry skin with acne. He got congested. You go out in the cold and windy, that's going to happen. And he's also had some headaches. So we have not mentioned this subdosha. This subdosha is basically related to skin, right? So give one word answer. So the answer is not A, B, or C. Actually, I should change this because this is not a clear question. I'm sorry. This is not how I'd made it a couple of years ago. Let me, so let me write it down and make sure it's getting recorded. So is the answer, trying to make it a little bit more clear. This question was not clear. Oh, please. So choose from A, B, or C. The Bhrajak Pitta, which is in the skin, is imbalanced. Congestion, is it either Tarpak Kapha congestion or Avlamba Kapha congestion? We don't know because it is not mentioned. Headache and low energy due to Sadak Pitta. So this is a little bit, you need to know what are the manifestations of these subdoshas. So what are the subdoshas? So basically this question is asking you, what subdoshas are out of balance? So you have to open all your Pitta, Vata, Kapha PowerPoint slides and look at all the manifestation on the symptoms of the subdoshas and tell the answer to this one. So I'm going to save this part so everybody else knows that we have changed this question a little bit. And I'm going to share with you. And then for the congestion part, what protocols do you give? For the skin part, what protocols do you give? Obviously, for the headache part, what protocols do you give? Because when someone has 4 symptoms, you want to help all the 4 symptoms, not just one, right? 9th, Rani has acidity, sensitive skin. 3, 4, soft bowel movement. Obviously, this is a pitta imbalance. Her feet are cold and she has poor circulation and she has varicose veins. So if you think about it, her varicose veins and poor circulation is not really, and it's obviously to do with vata, but right now we are not concerned with that. The question is asking you, you don't have to give 4 indicators, you could give 2 indicators. List what subdoshas of pitta are imbalanced, just looking at the symptoms. We know that acidity is a pitta imbalance. Which subdosha is associated with it? Sensitive skin, which subdosha? 3, 4 ball. Feet always cold is not associated with pitta. We already know that. So look at the question carefully. A little bit tricky. This is very easy. What does a causative factor mean? And why is it important? I think we've discussed it. What is something that causes something? Right? So quiz 1 and 2. Quiz 3, all of you had already submitted. If anybody has not submitted, please do it ASAP. But all of you had already submitted this, and I think everybody pretty much either got 98, 99, or 100 marks. So awesome, guys. Remember, this was one of the quiz 3 for AC 101. So either people got 98 or 99 or 100. So, Marma is we going to do next week because you're going to have a Marma class next week. So leave this. Let's look at now this is an extra credit quiz. So even if you don't do it, it's okay, but you should do it because you learn when you do quizzes, right? So extra credit means that it's over and above credit. So If you don't do it, I'm fine with it. But if you do it, that's good because you learn. What is the meaning of the word menopause? List 2 herbs for heavy bleeding in women. We have discussed this. List 1 kitchen herb that supports lactation in nursing mothers. We've discussed it. Any balancing protocol. It doesn't even have to be 2 for a postpartum mom. And we have done this in class. Some qualities of Vata menstrual period, Pitta and Kapha. Remember that form, the women support form you guys had? And then Martha is having constipation during menstrual period. So think of the dosha, sub-dosha that is affected in that area below. So go through these questions, and if you have any doubts, please ask me. And now we are also on the WhatsApp group. You could also ask me on it. Okay. Again, this is the women support quiz is extra credit, so even if you don't do it, you're fine. And this is something, this class will also happen in the next Sunday. Then you can do this. But if you want me to keep on doing the classes during class, the quizzes during class, I can do that too, if that makes it a little easier. I just wanted to do these ones because Tridoshas quizzes are a little bit hard, right? So are things kind of beginning, are they more clear? Are the sub-doshas kind of, you're able to, yeah, that's good. That's good. So Marina, you've caught up with all your quizzes. Good job. Evelyn, I've received all your quizzes. Nicole, I've been getting all your quizzes. Who else is there? Maria, I don't have all your quizzes. So if you have any questions, just ask me. And Rabia, I still don't have a lot of your quizzes, if any. So if you're behind quizzes, do AC 101 first, okay? Don't do AC 103. Do AC 101, then do 102, then 103, okay? And you'll have 1 month off to finish those quizzes and get them to me, so should be okay. Yeah, are things beginning to sink in, or is it? So the thing is, it is a distance learning program at the end of the day. So we expect that you are an independent type of learner. So you learn yourself, you do research. Let me show you a couple of really good research websites. Of course, we want you to read the books, read the material, read the slideshows, and kind of focus and read stuff that is going on in class. Here is one website. Let me share with you. They have really, really good information. Here we go. Unfortunately, it has kind of like Indian English. If you don't mind that, it's a beautiful website. It's basically, let's say you want to know something about moringa. And here you have everything that you need to know about moringa, right? Everything. Now it has a lot of Sanskrit in it. It has, let me give you the link for this website. It's called easyayurveda.com. Oh, you've already seen it? It's a pretty good website. And the reason I like them is because they're actually giving all of this from the classical text. So because they're giving from classical text, their translation is not so good. But if you can get used to the translation, you can also ask me questions about what do these things mean. But this is one good, another good website to study things from. Of course, I mean, I'm expecting you're reading all the course material that we have sent you, and let's look at the books. You have Textbook of Ayurveda Part 1. Textbook of Ayurveda Part 1, you should read it back to back at least 2 or 3 times. Back to back. Like right now we are doing the doshas. So whatever is going on in class, read the same thing in your book. So we have just today finished all the, you've done all the 15. So this is a good time to read from page 45 to page 78. We have finished Agni, so make sure you read page 81 to 92. We have not even started Dhatus, just ignore that for now. Because what happens if you go into Dhatus right now, you'll get confused. I don't want you to get confused. Leave the Dhatus, leave the Dhatus. We have started a little bit of Ojas. We have started digestion and nutrition. So go back and read page 239 to 277. So does it make sense? Kind of try to do whatever is being happening in class. And then when you start studying dhatus with us, which will probably be in August or September, because you're going to do Ayurveda and the mind first and yoga therapy, then you're going to do, so probably August is end of August, September, you will start dhatus. So when you start dhatus, then in fact, I will let you know weeks before that we're going to be starting dhatus. So you could read dhatus before we start dhatus. But right now, don't read it. It's too confusing. Do you know we're throwing so much information at you? However, if you have studied Ayurveda before and you're very comfortable, then it's a different story. Another book that I like is I mean, this is probably the this is one of my favorite authors. No, actually, let me give you another one, which is Sebastian Paul. If you had to only buy two and no other Ayurveda books, these are the two books that I'd ask you to get. This book is so important because how many people have this book? No, Maria, I do not recommend reading the Vedas at all. It'll confuse you. No, don't read it. You have, Marina? So let's look at inside this book. Let's look at the table of contents. So if you look at the history of Ayurveda, basic principles of Ayurveda, this book is basically plants and spices and the chikitsa in Ayurveda. And why is it that I want you to kind of get started on it a little early? Because it has like 50 or 60, no, it has more than, it has about 50 plant profiles. And we don't even teach you 50 plant profiles. We teach you less than that. But it's a book that it's kind of your encyclopedia. You can always go back to it. So this is a really awesome book. There's so many nice books, but the textbook of Ayurveda 3 is also amazing, which you do not need to get right now. It is only when you, now this is a little bit expensive, I'm sorry, but it's only if you're planning to go to Ayurveda practitioner, I would suggest. For now, if you buy these 3 books together, I wonder if they give you a discount. I mean, we have these books, except, it's much cheaper on Amazon. That's ridiculous, 12 new from $55. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can get a better price than that. Look at that. That is idiotic. $2,000 for a book. You have them all? That's fantastic. So yeah, so textbook of Ayurveda part 1. Part 2 is you won't even need it for like a long time. So part 1, read it back to back like 3 times, the things that I've told you. And then read. So whatever we are doing in class, that's the reading material that you should be researching. And obviously, like I said, all the quizzes that we give you are open quizzes, right? The idea is that you research and you look at the notes, and you will find, there's like hundreds of quizzes that I've created. There's spelling mistakes sometimes, or it doesn't make sense. Please let me know so I can correct it, okay? And please don't ever get, I mean, your scores right now are like, people have 99%, 98%, 97%, 100%. That's how I score, So you're all doing amazing. So don't get upset about the quizzes. I think if we do the quizzes in class like we did today, it kind of is, I think, a little bit more um, digestible. Is that a word, good word to use? You can digest it a little better. Yeah. If you like it, we could do it again. Yeah. All right. So I think Sunday, Dr. Priyanka and Atul have a class. And then we will be finishing Ayurvedic nutrition on Sunday. So Sunday, Ayurvedic nutrition is done. And then some of you are presenting your Agni client encounter, right? I don't know, a few of you said that you would want to present your Agni encounter on Sunday. Shujan is presenting and a couple of others. Could you recommend rice cooker and pressure cooker? Which one? Let me stop recording for